I thought this was a cool trailer. This movie where Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio together, they were never supposed to be in the same universe. I can't get over that. You just got to keep doing something that you genuinely enjoy having fun with. So even if it doesn't get all the numbers, you're still proud of yourself. You're still having a good time. Have you ever thought about like a Cobra Kai documentary and like doing that? And like, is that something maybe we could like do? I don't know. I never done anything like this before.
Hey everybody, I'm in the process of launching a brand new series called Chandler Talks To, and I'm kicking things off where Chandler will talk to the Cobra Kai Kid. We're going to talk Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, movies in general, generational differences, and a very cool project that you are currently working on. But real quick, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Sean. Hi, I am the Cobra Kai Kid, or should I say Bonsai? I'm the Cobra Kai Kid. I have a YouTube channel where I delve into Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, everything in the Miyagi-verse, as you would call it. And I'm also working on a very exciting project too, which I'm excited to talk about. So yeah, thanks for having me on, Sean. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been trying to schedule this for like several different weeks now, but it's been one of these phases where both of us have just had so many cool little things going on that like you're like, hey man, can we like talk movies stuff, the documentary real quick? Like, actually, I'm at this thing right now and I'm about to do this thing. And then I was like, hey, the Karate Kid trailer dropped. You want to hop on this week? You're like, actually, I'm out of town this time. I'm out of this other place. And then earlier this week, I was in LA for, like, we're both kind of really, really busy right now. So it's fun to finally be sitting down to talk.
Definitely. And I mean, you are doing so many great things right now. So shout out to you for all of these, the traveling that you're doing, the interviews that you're getting, the premieres you're going to. So like, it's exciting to see, like, it's cool that we're both like doing different things, but it's fun to, see your posts and oh my God, he had an interview with Perry Nemiroff. Like, that's freaking awesome. Right. Like, so, right. Yeah.
That's where I've been, it's interesting. Like, I've been doing this long enough that all these things, I've kind of done them at some point in time before and been invited to things and I've done interviews. But the novelty never wears off. I'm still just as much like, how is this my life? Like, and it feels like recently the momentum's really been getting going on getting a bunch of really cool interview opportunities, working with a bunch of people that inspired me to start. And even some of that ties into wanting to kind of launch a new series where on a regular basis, I'm just talking to interesting people about stuff that I'm interested in and hearing their stories, as well as talking about sometimes little movie news type stuff, but mostly kind of big picture stuff. And so you're one of the very first people I'm recording one of these Chandler Talks To episodes. And this will be interesting because in our case, like I'm like 20 years older than you. And as we talk about a show, something like Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, generational is built right into it. And then also want to kind of talk to you about the movie industry in general and perception on things. Because, I have my perception on a bunch of this stuff, but I'm very interested in how you perceive of it. But where I wanted to start today is that last week we got our full trailer for the Karate Kid Legacy. And back, was like a year and a half ago, when they were just doing the casting rumors and scripts were leaking, me and you sat down talking about it. And so we've done these little catch-ups all along the way, depending on which one of our channels that we're on. So we talked about the rumors, the speculation, the casting call, the Karate Pizza Man controversy, and then we talked about the first teaser. But now we have a full trailer for it. What's kind of your first initial reactions to this trailer?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we actually, we talked about it so long ago when it was like just like in the rumor phase, and now like we're actually here. It's actually coming out, And
the next time we talk about it, almost certainly it will have come out. And so it's getting actually tangible. You can feel it in the air.
Yeah, and this was a movie I wasn't sure if it was even going to go through. Originally, it was going to come out in December when Cobra Kai season 6 was still coming out, which makes me like, what is going on? But
and that's what we talked about. Like, it's going to come out in December, and we're like, hey, wait a minute, like he's shooting Cobra Kai season 6 right now, and when's he going to shoot this movie, and when are you going to edit it? Like, it didn't make it, and they're still casting. When the first time we talked, there were like. I think they just did the casting call. Yeah. Like, we're trying to find the new Karate Kid. We're like, how are you going to come out in a year if you're casting right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, as we were just mentioning, we've both been very busy. I've had a busy week, so I actually did not watch. I've been holding back on the trailer until right before this stream.
Oh, interesting. This is totally fresh, original. The Cobra Kai Kid's initial reaction and feelings on the Karate Kid Legacy trailer.
So I haven't really been able to sit on it. I literally just watched it like a half hour ago. My thoughts have not changed. I thought this was a cool trailer. Like, it was a fun trailer. It looks good. It's just I have to ignore the fact that it doesn't make sense. Like I think if Ralph Macchio wasn't in this movie, I could like say, okay, you know what? They're making a sequel to the Jackie Chan movie, whatever. I'm not really super into that, but okay. But then when you like start to tie in Cobra Kai, which was so freaking good, and then you follow it up with this movie where Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio are together. They were never supposed to be in the same universe. I can't get over that. I just like, as good as fun as the trailer was, it doesn't make sense like that those worlds are combining. So I know I just have to like go into it like, okay, you know what? Just watch it. Have a fun time. But for me, I just love Cobra Kai so much. So it's kind of hard to do that. It's kind of hard to differentiate it. But for me, it's not like getting that like extreme level of excitement that I'd want to.
Like for me, as someone that grew up on the original Karate Kid, that my first movie webpage, actually technically it wasn't, but my first real movie webpage was a Jackie Chan fan webpage. Back in 1998, before you're born. And then, of course, having been a big fan of Cobra Kai over the last little window of time, I watched this trailer and I get all the feels, all the nostalgia feels like, oh, Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio. Like, I feel all of that stuff to it.
Yeah.
The big fear for me, like, I in my mind, I can, because I get enough feels, I can forgive the logic of it. I'm not as concerned on the logic side of it, but I'm going, this trailer sells me on the exact same plot. But the twist is two mentors instead of one. But they sell it as kid moves to a new place. He's bullied. He needs a karate mentor. But his kung fu's not enough. And so we have to have karate and kung fu together. And that, like, I hope that there's more to it than that. Like, they're hinting at something with his brother, and I guess his brother probably died in a fight.
Yeah.
But like, I hope we got a few more twists and turns, because kid moves to a new place, bullied, gets a karate mentor. Like, that's literally what we've done over and over and over again. Yeah. And I had someone in my comments like, what are you talking about? It's been 40 years since the original. We can do another one. It's like, I mean, it's been 40 years since the original. It's been 15 years since Jackie Chan did this, and this was, Cobra Kai just did it, and we're doing the same thing. And I get it's a safe formula, but it also will make for a stale movie. And it's just one more these legacy sequels that goes for the nostalgia feels, and it has some sort of gimmick of like two worlds coming together. But we've been like, everybody's been doing two worlds. Look, we've got 3 Spider-Men in one movie. Look, Deadpool and Wolverine are joining the MCU. Into the Spider. Like, we've done, the worlds are coming together. That novelty's missing. So I really hope it has, like, I got the feels. I think it will be good, but I'm not sure that it will be better than the feels, and it's a well-constructed movie with 2 actors that I think it'll be fun to see on screen together. Kind of send it over to you. One of the things you said in there is that, like, as the Cobra Kai, well, both a kid, but Cobra Kai mega fan, and you have that flavor for the specific Cobra Kai audience. Do you feel like a lot of the Cobra Kai audience feels what you're feeling of, like, I mean, it's cool, there's more in there, but it's not Cobra Kai. It's not. Do you think that Cobra Kai audience will transfer over, or will there be that hesitation?
Honestly, I've seen both. I think maybe the younger generation is more excited because, like, it's kind of like Yeah, like maybe they're not really thinking about the logic side of it. And like I'm trying not to. It's just like kind of tough when like, they literally mentioned in Cobra Kai like Robbie has a line like, wow, I feel like Jackie Chan right now. Like it was just never it was never supposed to be together. And I've honestly seen both. So I feel like I'll be really interested to see where this movie goes, especially like I don't know, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio teaming up, does that live up to the hype of a Deadpool, Wolverine, 3 Spider-Men? Like, I don't really know if it has that.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to say. Like, I mean, you're talking in those cases, you're talking about movies that made $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, it's nowhere in that league. But does it need to be in that league, or can it just be, if this movie makes, I don't know how much the movie costs, but if it makes $300 million, I would think that would be a huge win currently. I mean, I don't really have a good vibe on what they're expecting this movie to do. It's strange because, the remake 15 years ago was a big hit. And then Cobra Kai, big, gigantic hit. But then this movie doesn't feel like it. At the moment, I don't feel like it's fully capturing that energy. But it's tough to get the industry's in such a weird place that predicting box office is tricky. But like Jackie Chan, to a certain generation, does have a certain like, oh, I love Jackie Chan. I haven't seen him in anything in a long time, and he's been in stuff, but he hasn't been in anything significant on camera to the Hollywood audience, to the American audience, since the Karate Kid remake. And so there is a certain amount of, he's back. And then for, anybody that's, my age and up to like 15, 20 years older, Ralph Macchio, Karate Kid, there's something there. And you might have skipped out on a TV show that started on YouTube Red, but he's back in the theater, so you want to like check it. So I think there could be something there, but I think there's also a situation of people are getting a little tired of legacy sequels. So it's kind of all these different competing ideas of how this might be received. But I also don't, it's not a movie that shouldn't have cost a ton of money. Like, you don't have to pay these people $20 million to do this film. And so you're just shooting street level stuff, no big, gigantic, expensive visual effects. There's no reason that this movie would be expensive. So how much you have to make to be very profitable is much lower than these other films that cost $200 million.
Yeah. And I guess that's, you want the film to do good, but then if it does good, it's like, oh, maybe we should make a Karate Kid Legends sequel. Please don't do that. I don't know why, but you have the Cobra Kai creators who have said like, we want to make spinoffs, we want to make movies. And they're not involved in this movie at all, which just is very, very strange. So it's just that's just been like the hardest thing for me to get my mind around. But I love to be proven wrong. So hopefully they do something. But as you said, it's the story we've seen before. So that's why I don't really know what. I don't really think I'll be proven wrong because, yeah, we're seeing a kid who gets bullied who's gonna enter a karate tournament and win. Like, yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of a. I know it's Sony's doing. They're going, what's every IP that we have that we can make movies out of?
Yeah,
like I get exactly what they're doing, and so just running through. So we're going to do a movie for every Spider-Man villain, plus an animated Spider-Man series, plus a live-action Spider-Man series. Ghostbusters, karate. Like, I get it. I know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Yeah. And I also understand the tricky position they're in, where you don't want to turn a streaming TV show into homework for Karate Kid. So how do you do that in a way, like tell a story that doesn't, you don't want to offend the Cobra Kai fans, but you also don't want to force everyone else to feel like they have to watch a TV show. Yeah. And that's a tricky balance. And like, when you hear that the Cobra Kai creators weren't involved in all, it feels like that's probably the wrong way. Say, if you have them come out and say, yeah, they brought us in as consultants, and what they wanted to do was make something that stood on its own, but felt like we're continuing on from the show. So you don't need to watch the show at all. There's, there's references to, man, we've had more adventures, but you don't have to watch it. It's like stuff that it fleshes it, but it's not, when you don't do that, when it's, we're not involved. Yeah. It just feels like, what are you guys doing? Like, not even 6 months ago, Ralph Macchio was on something in this continuity, and there's no connection. That's weird.
Yeah, yeah.
It's confusing.
It's confusing, and I don't even. I mean, we still, the movie's still yet to come out, but like, yeah, what is his, like, where is he now? Where are his kids? What is like, where's Johnny? That's what you are getting yourself into when you combine these universes, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, oh, like Johnny's gonna make an appearance. Like, I
doubt it.
No, I don't think anybody's making an appearance from Cobra Kai other than Ralph. I really just don't think that's what they're trying to do here. I don't even think Ralph's in the movie that much. I think he'll probably be in like 25 minutes, half hour.
25 minutes isn't a small amount if you're talking about a movie that has 3 leads.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be like Jackie and Ben, or Jackie and Lee Fong, or Mr. I'm saying like the actors and the characters, like Jackie Chan and Ben Wang's characters would be the mains, and then like Ralph Macchio will kind of come in like midway, like kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll come help, and then he comes in at the end. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, if you like, just look at what the plot is. That's
what they showed in the trailer. Yeah.
That there's a past relationship there. Things go bad, so we need to pull someone else in. So that's where you bring someone in. That's no matter what. That like at the earliest, that's like 40% of the way through the movie.
Yeah.
So but I wouldn't describe that he's not in it that much, because sometimes that implies very little. 25 minutes is quite a bit. It's like you stop and think, like Spider-Man: No Way Home. Our other Spider-Men are only they show up in the movie over an hour and a half into the film.
That is true.
It felt like a satisfying good amount of them. So like keep that in perspective.
You're right.
So, but like if you say that it's really about Jackie and our new guy, and then this guy's the late addition, but a strong late addition, it's probably that.
Yeah.
Somewhat like. I had some people in my comments being like, "Oh, it would be better if all the Cobra Kai people showed up." And it's like, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't make any sense. like you could see a scenario where Courtney's showing up for like packing my bags, like, and saying goodbye, and it's just it's a little something that ties it back that says Cobra Kai's there. Yeah. We see you. That I would see a lot of wisdom in that, because you don't have to explain who she is. It's not like, who's this lady that lives at the house with Daniel, with his wife. Yeah, you don't have to explain who his wife is. But if you're like Hawk shows up, like, hope you have a good time at your new adventure. Like, who's this weird kid with the mohawk? You'd have to explain that to people that didn't watch the show. But a wife, you just inherently can understand that. And I think it's really easy for him to, like, even in the dialogue, like, I'm not going to go to New York. Like, I've done this before. I've been the mentor before. Man, I've got stories you wouldn't believe about the last 5 years of my life. I don't want to step back. Like, it's easy to do something, and I hope that they have the wisdom to you allude to something, and if someone goes, oh, I wonder what that story is, well, we got 6 seasons, so you can check it out right over there. Yeah, that would be wise. Ignoring it completely, I think, would be pretty foolish.
Agreed.
And you alienate a built-in audience that has momentum. Like, we just culminated in the finale of this thing. You built this all up. Go to any Comic-Con that they're at, there's lines. There's an you don't want to alienate those people, but you also don't want to alienate everyone else. So that's the tricky thing to run. So let's transition a different direction. Your story. We're talking about this movie with Jackie Chan. I just said my journey into this world was Jackie Chan fan webpage. Oddly enough, in this strange way, this movie becomes like the place where our two origin stories merge together, because your origin story is this franchise. So what led to this journey of you talking a TV show and movies on the internet? How did this happen?
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest questions I always get is, did you watch Karate Kid growing up? And the answer is no. I might have seen clips
How
of it.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I grew up with Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So I was into the 80s stuff.
I forgive you. Those are your things. I forgive you. Maybe we should just leave it in this. If I'm going to respond to everything, just leave it in this one. But like, all right, you're forgiven. You missed out on one, but you got the other important ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was just like what, I don't know. That was just what I was introduced to. Like, my parents never said, oh, you got to watch Karate Kid. So I just didn't. I think I knew of like No Mercy and stuff and Mr. Miyagi, but I didn't really know so much. And then I was in high school, bored one day at home, and I was scrolling through YouTube, and I saw this Cobra Kai series. I was like, okay, I'll check. Why not? So I was like I put it on in the background. I wasn't even paying attention, but then I kept looking over. I'm like, oh wait, this is like pretty good. And you know, as someone who didn't watch Karate Kid, like, you know, like I always say, like the guys who made the show, they did their job because they wanted to get, you know, someone like you who loved Karate Kid growing up into the show.
And old. Old person,
No. A young person who grew up with the Karate Kid movies, and a little more young person like me who didn't grow up with the Karate Kid movies. I had no clue, like, about any of this stuff. Meanwhile, the show, I freaking love the show. I love the show. And then, like, what it did was it had me go back and watch Karate Kid. I'm like, wow, it's so cool to see Daniel and Johnny as kids. I was like, it felt like
they should do a prequel about what happened with them when they were in high school.
Dude, you wouldn't. I was so excited when I found out, like, that there were 4 movies.
Yeah.
It was like prequels. It was like wow. Did they make these 4? No, I knew they didn't just make them. But like,
this is incredible. Did they create a time machine?
No, but it was so cool. And then, like, you know what it did was like, it, like, I mean, when you're watching karate, or like when you watch Karate Kid, like for the first time, you don't think about like how like there could be like this like cinematic universe, like how the Cobra Kai philosophy, strike first, strike hard, no mercy, like how like these little details that they had in the movies would play into the series. Like for example, you know, they like when the Karate Kid movie, the Cobra Kai dojo is just the bad dojo of it. It's not that big of a thing, but they have like, you know, these lines like Cobra Kai never dies, sweep the leg, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Even the design of the Cobra that they made in the original movie is the same logo that they used for the series. So it just goes to show, like, you know, the detail that was put into the original movies being brought into the series, and like how they were able to make 6 seasons out of it. It's just like so good. It's right. Like this universe, like it's become like a Star Wars, where like Star Wars is like, you know, you have like so many characters and like the universe and the detail and the lore, and they were able to do that with this, and it's still going, and that's what draws me to it. That's why I'm on. Yeah.
It's fascinating is that you like the nature of Karate Kid has always been this. It feels very grounded in our world, but there's also just this built-in, very silly fantasy side to it of the most popular kids at a high school are in a karate class together and they ride motorbikes around. Like you go like, yeah. What? This has never been true of any high school that like they're like walking around with headbands and stuff. Like it's like ridiculous. Yeah. But somehow perfectly ridiculous because it also taps into like the most universal of experiences. And you take that, the grounded universal principles, life experiences combined with the silliness and the over-the-top nature of it. And Cobra Kai just like takes that to this other level. And so it's still universal. It still just works. Yeah. But how does this turn? And actually, one more thought on that. My now 11-year-old daughter, she has not watched the Karate Kid movies yet. She's seen all of Cobra Kai. Like that's the show that we watched together. Like son didn't watch it with us, but the 11-year-old did because she's all into the high school drama stuff. Now she's discovering all the Disney Channel shows about how, all the like. She's into that, and you've got really invested in it. And I'm watching the show that's the continuation of what I grew up watching, and making something that's that universal is pretty cool. But you go to the YouTube to post videos. Tell me that story. Yeah. So I had been doing YouTube content before. I was making like, you know, parodies and skits, and, you know, I just loved filmmaking and telling stories ever since I was young. So that was always something I was doing. But when I watched Cobra Kai, you know, nobody knew what it was. So I would go to school, I'd be like, hey, like, you want to talk about Cobra Kai? I don't know what that is. So I was like in this like bubble.
I had
Was it still just on YouTube Red, or had it dropped on Netflix yet?
Oh, it was YouTube. It was after season 1. It was it was like the fall.
Nobody knew what it was, and everyone was like, "What is YouTube Red show? I'm not watching that crap."
Yeah. Meanwhile, I convinced one person to watch it, and they loved me for it. So
exactly.
You're welcome, Daniel. I got you. His name is Daniel. Funny enough.
And that's the same thing that happened to me. Like my coworkers at the time when I was delivering paint, and they're guys my age. I'm like, oh, they actually did this Cobra Kai show, and they're like, I'm not watching that. I've seen this enough. They bring it back. They ruin the whole thing. I watched the trailer. It's like a comedy. Like, dude, seriously, check it out. And a year later, they like, they watched it and they're like, oh, you were right. And like somehow they found a way to like continue it as a comedy, and it worked. But like both generations were like, I'm not checking this thing out. And then was like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I had nobody to talk to about it, which was like, it was so unfortunate. But I was making YouTube content, and I think my mom was like, you should make a YouTube channel on it because like, you like the YouTube videos, you like the show. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. So I made Cobra Kai. It's actually pretty amazing the fact that like, I made the channel, and the things that I started with, I made it about 6 years ago, and the things that like Cobra Kai Kid, the logo, everything's the same. Even like my very first video, I say bonsai, I'm the Cobra Kai Kid, and I end it with Cobra Kai never dies, and it's what I do today, which is kind of weird that it's like that I'm like, I don't know that it's like stayed that long, but
sometimes it's just those gut instincts.
Yeah,
you don't need to overthink it.
I didn't overthink it.
You go for it, and sometimes it just works.
Yeah, I didn't overthink it. It was just there, and it felt right, and it still feels right. And it started like me in this office here, but all this stuff was gone. It was just like we had just moved in, so it was just like white walls and wooden floors, so everything was very echoey. I had a bad microphone, and I'm like, bonsai, I'm the Cobra Kai Kid, and I'm like wearing the karate gi, like I'm 16 years old in high school, going through puberty, my like voice is all high and whatever. So like it was like the most awkward one of the most awkward Drew stages, but it was like, if you like. And I remember there were times where like as I got older, I was like, oh, should I put these videos on private? Because they're kind of like, they're kind of embarrassing. But then it's like, I look back and I'm like, no, like, that was me. That was like pure, authentic, and I still am that way. But it was just like, as a young kid, like that was me. So I leave it up there, and it's literally me talking. Mm-hmm. For 45 minutes to myself. Like the video would be like, will Robbie go to jail or whatever in season 3? And it's me just like blabbering. And I'm like, how did I talk to myself for 45 minutes? Yeah. But I'm like, I guess I just do that anyway. So, and that's how it started. So it was, the content wasn't very quality. It was just me just chatting. But then some people started watching. I'm like, wait, why are people watching this? And
so if you're there, if you're there early enough, the real estate is cheap. And if the supply is low, you're the only person supplying for the demand.
They had nobody. They had nobody else, Sean. I was the only. There were no other options, so they had to watch. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. Well, I mean, like I don't mean that in the minute, but like the sort of thing of like in high school, like. How young how young you are, and still in my mind, how young you still are, and how successful you've been is because you tapped into something. There was a demand, but no one was supplying for it, and then you like grew and you earned the right to be there. You grew to match the quality of your audience or the size of your audience, and like that's something to be proud of. Like. What if you see the stuff I was doing when I was 16? There's a reason that I did not have success until I was in my late 30s because I was not in the right place at the right time and did not have any quality to what I was doing. So no one was stuck around for anything I did when I was. There's a reason that Jackie Chan fan webpage went nowhere. But like I said, for you were meeting a demand, and then you grew to actually earn that.
Yeah, I think, and I appreciate that. I think, a big thing was definitely the timing. I think, just having started when I did, that definitely helped a lot. I'd like to say it was, I was putting out good quality content that people wanted to watch, but it also was timing because, the show hadn't blown up at that point. So I'd also gotten there at a time where, the actors like were interacting with everybody. Like, I did an Instagram live with Sholo, which was crazy, who plays Miguel. The Cobra Kai creators, they're very active on social media now, but like, they were, messaging me and stuff and responding to my stuff. I'm like, what the frick is going on? And like, it was like, this is crazy. And, I would say the biggest thing that really started everything before Netflix, because once the show went to Netflix, that's when I would say like, it was insane. It was insane.
It like, you want to just pause, like, all this trying to like help people that I know there's people ask me all the time, how can I do what you do? How can we do what you did? And so much of it is being at the right place at the right time. For me, it was phase 3 of the MCU. For you, it was being on the Cobra Kai wave before it crescendoed. Yeah, so man. Like nobody, like there was like, make that point of there wasn't a lot of people there at the beginning that, because you committed to something that was very niche, the creators of that show knew who you were because you were the one covering it. Yeah. Like the stars of the show knew who you were because you were the one covering it. And the thing to learn there is if you wait to something to become really popular and then start covering it, you're behind.
Yeah, yeah.
But so like, what's the thing you're really excited about, passionate about that hasn't done that broken yet? And, Cobra, you sometimes you guess wrong or whatever, but like, exactly. There's a lesson in that, whether it's with social media, whether it's a TV show, a movie, but finding that thing where you can be really plugged in is huge. Like, it literally changed the trajectory of your life because you found that thing and went all in very early on. Sorry, I cut you off in the middle of your story.
No. That is a great point, and really, that's something I think of, but not too much. So like the way you put it was perfect. You could create great high quality content, and a lot of people ask like, how do you do it? But yeah, a lot of it comes down to right place, right time. And it's not like I was like, like looking at all these different shows and I'm like, which show like is not popular that I can make a channel about that? Well, I had no clue. I just really loved this show and it just happened to not be that popular. So it was just, the timing of it was just crazy. So like, it's hard to replicate that, even with, Well,
I mean, like, people try to turn everything into a formula. You can't fabricate it. You can't fabricate actually being excited about something. But there is a little bit of like paying attention to what is out there that you think might break. You can do that. But if you just try and turn your story, my story into a formula, do this type of videos, do this, it's not that. But it is, what are you passionate about? And like, if you hop into an oversaturated space, it's tough to stand out. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's kind of the lesson I think people can learn from that. Sorry, cut you off again.
No, it's okay. No, and like, even if you are jumping into something that a lot of people do, I feel like the most important thing is to like be original with the content. Like, I started my channel just talking about the show, but as I like went along, I was like, how can I, even though there weren't many other creators at the time, I was like, how could I, like, what is me? What do I like? What do I want to see? And what do I enjoy doing? And that's like telling stories and being creative. I'm studying filmmaking at school and I love just making movies. So how can I combine that with Cobra Kai? And then that's been something that I've been able to be known for on the channel. So like, I'm not just, reporting on the Cobra Kai news. I've been able to, create like Cobra Kai animations and like short films where I'm dressing up as the characters. And I just love that. I think it's so fun. And I like that, like, that's what I can be known as, like, someone who, it's like, I think the goal with my channel is like, obviously I want people to enjoy the content, but I also want it to be like unpredictable. Where like, one day I could be doing an interview with this cast member. Another day I could be doing a musical parody on Terry Silver in a bathrobe singing a song about how he's going to take over Cobra Kai. And then the next day I'm making like, we're doing a Cobra Kai documentary that's coming out on a streaming service next year. Like I enjoy that aspect of it because it keeps it fun for me and exciting. And I think for other people too, maybe, you know, so it's not the same thing.
So let's pause on that one. You said right there at the end, and you know, the big exciting thing you've been working on, kind of even led you and reaching out and kind of led to this conversation is you're working on a documentary. Let us know what's that about.
Yeah. So this was an idea that I've like had for a while. I was like, there needs to be a Cobra Kai documentary because everything we're talking about, Sean, like, you know, this story of Cobra Kai, how it's so successful, like that needs to be told, you know, rather than just in interviews. And I've had this idea, and Kayvon Derrick, who directed More Than Miyagi, the documentary of Pat Morita, I did an interview with him a few years ago, and we've kept in touch over the years, and we've shared projects with each other. And you know, he's a documentary filmmaker, and I just reached out to him. I'm like, have you ever thought about like a Cobra Kai documentary and like doing that? And like, is that something maybe we could like do? I don't know. I never done anything like this before. And he was like, I actually have been thinking about that for a bit, and you reaching out like is like a sign that like this is the time. And it felt, everything about it felt right. Cobra Kai, the series coming to an end. What's gonna happen now? Like it's over. But Cobra Kai never dies. Like, so that, you know, and so we've been working on this for like less than a year so far. A little less than a year, where we had the idea. We've flown out to Los Angeles, Ohio, Orlando. We're gonna do more trips to Atlanta, back to LA. Like, you know, we have a lot of plans to just make a documentary that celebrates Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, like everything that like. You know, like why, like, you know, why are we here talking about it right now? Like, that's what the documentary is, like the success of it. And we came up with the name Kai Hards, you know, like, you know, like we're all diehard fans of Cobra Kai. So we're trying to make it like, you know, like you have the Trekkies for Star Trek. We need something for Cobra Kai. So we're trying to get the Kai Hard. There you go. So you're a Trekkie, but we're trying to make it so like.
William Shatner.
There you go. Now you're a Kai Hard, right? What did you say you're a Kai Hard?
Here we go.
There you go.
The Johnny and Daniel Funko sodas. There we go.
Do you not drink those? Are those just for decoration?
I don't actually know what they are. They're not actual sodas. They're Funkos. Someone sent them to me in my fan mail, so I don't even understand what I have. But they're called Funko sodas. And so they're like just this fun little thing. I imagine inside of them, I don't know. I have no idea. I should probably look it up.
In it?
No, I mean, they're like super light. Like there's something hard inside of them, but I think like even kind of locking in on this, one of these recurring themes of you just did stuff. Like, yeah. You went, I love this thing. I was creating stuff on YouTube anyway. I decided to create stuff about the show that I enjoyed. And then you start, like, I'm going to reach out to these people. And so all of a sudden you're talking and communicating with the creators of the show. You're like, how old are you?
22 right now. At
22, you're like, actually, I guess it was a year ago. You're like, reach out to someone. Have you thought about making a documentary about Cobra Kai? 21 years old. Like, that's not a thought that a lot of 21-year-olds have. And like doing a lot of stuff that you're not like waiting for the opportunity to be put in front of you. You're creating the opportunities. You're making the thing happen. You're creating the thing that you want to exist in the world. That's very cool. It's very
Thanks,
cool
man.
to see.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, well, you know, strike first. So, yeah, you know, it's very exciting. And like, you know, definitely the big thing, like, I know like a lot of people are like, were asking me, like, you know, especially as we got closer to the end, what are you going to do when the channel's over, when the show is over? That's like the big question. Yeah. Yes, we have the Karate Kid Legends movie, so we have that. I know there's going to be other Cobra Kai spinoffs, but you know, I'm really not, that's not something I like am like worried about like, oh, like I'm gonna have no content to make, you know, with this documentary that we have, and also with you know, the things that I mentioned. You know, I like to create parodies and sketches and skits, and I like to write stories. Maybe I'll write my own Cobra Kai's story that could go like, you know, episodes. Because think about like Star Wars. You know, even when before Disney bought Star Wars, people were still making Star Wars YouTube videos, and the franchise was out for a while because of you know, books and this and that. So. And even if like no new content, like there's still like ways to be creative around it. And I don't just cover news. So even if there's no news, it's not like, oh, now I'm screwed. Yeah. However, you know, I really, for me, it's important, like, you know, growing up and like, you know, just trying new things. So like, you know, even though like this Kai Hart, even though Kai Hart is still in the Cobra Kai realm, it's a documentary. I've never done anything like this before. So it feels more like, you know, now it's really getting me into the filmmaking aspect, which is what I want to ultimately do. But the fact that it's tied to Cobra Kai is just mwah. Because like if it was anything else, like, yeah, it'd be cool. But like, dude, I'm literally like watching an interview and like interviewing like the creators in person and like Martin Kove, and I'm like smiling head to toe, and I'm like, you know, this could like maybe I could do this for like a show that I didn't really care for, but like the fact that it's for Cobra Kai, it's just like it's a dream come true. Honestly, it's the coolest thing. So
yeah. All right, let's pivot totally different direction.
Yeah.
Speaking movies, Hollywood in general.
Yeah.
So. I've been fascinated recently with just the idea, like, I feel like Hollywood right now is in this very stale place with just a lot of sequels, remakes, things like that. And it feels like Hollywood just keeps going back to all the stuff from my childhood. All these movies, franchises, series that literally were created before you were born. Hollywood just keeps going back to that. Even Connecticut Legends. Yeah. 1980s. So I was just curious, as someone that you've basically grown up, your era of blockbusters were the era where the sequels just took over. And it was kind of when you were in grade school was the time period where that was cool. And then it's kind of the last few years, it's like they're not quite as good as they used to be. It's kind of what's your thought on Hollywood in general, blockbusters? Because like the era of movies I grew up with, where summer blockbusters, is so different from what you're growing up or grew up with.
Yeah. So growing up, you know, it was a lot of like Disney, Nickelodeon, all those kids movies, like, and then like you had like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, like those like random movies. But over the last few years, I really have gotten more into like, you know, staying up to date with movie news, thanks to your channel too. Your channel's helped me a lot to stay up to date. Shout out! Woo! Yeah. No, like literally, like I don't like I don't know anything about like this. I don't really watch all the Marvel movies, so like you know, it's kind of like you help me stay up to date with like okay, this is going on. But I guess it's like it's kind of hard for me to get into certain things like the Marvel stuff. You know, I like the OGs, like the OG Spider-Man, Iron Man. But then when you have like all this like, you know, multiverse stuff and this movie, like I actually got 2 years ago, I got AMC A-list. So that way I can go see a bunch of movies. And that's my goal, is like to literally just see any new movie. But then the tough thing is like there will be like the movies that are coming out now are all sequels, and I don't really like want to go back and rewatch it because I just want to go to the theater and just whatever. So I just remember recently being in the theater though, and it was kind of disappointing. It was like there was a trailer for the live action of Lilo and Stitch. Yeah. Then there was the trailer for Moana 2, and then the trailer for live action Snow White. And then I'm like, you know, what, like there's all these remakes and reboots, and it's like, it's a little too much. And, I mean, I could tell you the last movie that I saw that I really enjoyed, which I know you had a chance to like do some stuff with it, was Novocaine. I thought that was fun. I love that one. It was original. It was fun. Like, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Right. And like an original movie.
Yeah.
And a fun premise. And fortunately didn't do great at the box office. And you go like you train audiences to only be on the lookout for the next sequel, the next remake, and all this new anything new gets lost in the mix. It's so frustrating. But like, yeah, I mean, you stop and think. Like when I was growing up, was it 1996 or whatever? Independence Day is this big tentpole movie, just a totally original film. And you look back now and it stars Will Smith, and Will Smith. At the time, not that Will Smith was a nobody, but he was not Will Smith. He had starred in Bad Boys and a sitcom, and he was a rapper. And so putting him over, this big tentpole movie was like, we're taking a big risk on this guy. Hopefully Will Smith has some charisma. As it turns out, he's Will Smith, so he did. But like original movie, untested star, and it like, this massive film that still to this day I watch every Independence Day with my family because we're patriotic like that. And then the next year it was Will Smith again with Men in Black, which was an adaptation of a comic, but a comic that nobody had read.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it played like an original film. And you play that like you just had these movies that nobody had seen, were original concepts, and they'd be big hits and they'd get a budget. And now all we would only try, or like, we'd like, let's do Snow White as a $300 million blockbuster. What? Who
Why?
wants that?
Why?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, like what's the
weird.
point of it? Or I think the most ridiculous thing for me, and it hasn't come out yet, but like the fact that there's a Moana 2 animated, and then they're remaking the first one in live action. It just like it sounds like a joke. Is it?
Yeah,
that's actually happening though, right?
It came out 10 years ago, and they're doing a live action remake, and The Rock is playing Maui. It's like. What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
And the fact that they're making a second one animated, but they're going back and remaking the first one live action. Yeah. What the?
Same exact time. Like,
what?
Yeah, it's so creatively bankrupt.
Yeah.
And you can like, what are you thinking? Like, you're trying to find the safe way to print money for the stockholders, but you're not like pausing to think for a second of like, what do people actually want? What's good for the industry? What's sustainable? That there was a time back, well, I was going to say 30 years ago, but I realized 40, 50 years ago, where all of the franchises that we're still doing were created. Whether it's Rocky, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Karate Kid, all this stuff. They were original at some point in time.
Yes, yes.
They were underdogs that people weren't sure if these things would work. We weren't sure if this was the right person to cast. You took a risk, and you discovered the new franchises. You created a space where new voices could create new characters that we'd fall in love with, where new movie stars could be in, like, they would become a movie star with the character at the same time, not... We cast Chris Evans as already established Captain America, but they become a movie star independent of being tied to an IP.
Yeah,
and all of that's gone. And what are the things that are original to your lifetime? Like literally to your lifetime. Which ones are the cool things that have been invented in your lifetime? It's weird to think there's not very many.
Yeah, I really can't think of any. I was afraid. If you asked me that, I'd be like, I don't know, because like, I just
and there's some
just not that I'm like really
like Shrek in a sense, some things like that would be like essentially in that regard. But even then, you're going back 20 years,
and now they're making a Shrek 5,
and we're getting a sequel to that too. Yeah, and then after that, Shrek live action. They haven't announced that, but if Train Your Dragon does money in June. I'm sure they're going to do Shrek live action.
Oh, definitely.
But it's like so bankrupt of creativity, and it's not sustainable. And that's where you like Disney. You go, our strategy. We're not going to tell news stories. We're not going to trust our proven storytellers to do whatever they want to tell. We're just going to remake all of our past classics, and eventually you run out of things that make sense to adapt, and you're like, let's do Snow White. Let's do that movie from 10 years ago.
Yeah, and the thing is, like,
weird.
There are certain things that can be remade, and a perfect example for me, Wicked was freaking phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job. It was the Broadway show. Some people might have said, "Oh, well, why are you making a movie?" But like, I mean, they killed it with that one. Then there's certain things where like I think with Wicked, they thought like, okay, this could actually be like a story worth telling on the big screen. We can do something here rather than like a Snow White where it's like, what can we turn into live action? Well, Snow White hasn't been done and that was popular. Let's do that rather than actually think about how that could like be good as a movie. I don't know.
What's even crazier, it has been done because Snow White isn't just a Disney property, but they did Snow White and the Huntsman in 2012, which has Chris Hemsworth in it. And they did a sequel to it, The Huntsman. So there's two different Snow White live action epics starring Chris Hemsworth and Charlize Theron. Also in 2012, they did Mirror, Mirror, which was another big, gigantic Snow White. So they've done now 4 blockbuster adaptations of Snow White in the last 15 years. And you go, what? Snow White's not that popular.
We love Snow White. Dude, my whole wall is covered in Snow White. I just want...
I have a Snow White lower back tattoo. That's what I did in college. It's my wild phase.
You're a Snow Whitey, like a Trekkie. You're a Snow Whitey. You got your Snow White merch up there somewhere hiding.
Next year, we're going to do Snow White across the multiverse. And we're going to bring together all of the cinematic...
Bro.
Rachel Ziegler teams up with Chris Hemsworth. Like, what?
And all the mirrors come together.
Yeah. It gets wild when the mirrors are all in one room together.
Snow White, No Way Home.
Yeah.
Dude, no, but you know what? Though?
These ideas keep getting better and better.
We're laughing, but like it may happen. Like, wouldn't be surprised. Like
Hollywood. All right, let's real quick. What to do? Talk. Final thoughts on Cobra Kai, and then your advice for people on YouTube. We got it's about 10 more minutes, so like a 5-minute chat.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai. We got the end of the series.
Yeah. Have we talked?
Me and you haven't talked since then.
Wow.
So
yeah.
to catch up, if you want to follow my stuff, very disappointed in parts 1 and 2 of season 6. Found part 3 to be very satisfying.
Yeah.
It basically my feelings were like if they'd found a way to merge season 5 and 6. And have all the satisfying stuff from 6 at the end of 5 and have the stuff at the end of 5 be the culmination of it. I think I would have been much happier with I think I would have liked that season 5 version of season 5 better, and it would have been a better way to do the season 6 stuff. I just felt like they were going kind of roundabout, like getting too, like, we're going global to like get to a satisfying conclusion. I don't know that we needed to go global. That's my feelings on it. What were your feelings on it now that we've come to an end? Yeah,
I thought the ending was beautiful. I just like really it tied everything together. All these character arcs. I thought it was surprising yet satisfying, which is what it should be, because I think sometimes there's a notion that like if it's unexpected it's good, but having Johnny win the tournament, sure, it was like, okay, like probably knew that was going to happen, like, when it got to that point. But I mean, like, you had to do that. And the way they did it, with him taking back Cobra Kai, it was unexpected. Like, you had no clue that was going to happen. And I love that they knew, because I think, I know me included, the show's called Cobra Kai. And like Johnny's Cobra Kai was badass. How are we gonna you're gonna end the show where you take down Cobra Kai and that's it? Like, cause you had Miyagi-Do season 4 or 5, and it's like, okay, 6, but how are they gonna tie it back Cobra Kai? So they did, and the way they did with Kreese, that was that's the greatest scene in the show for me. That Kreese Johnny scene. You threw me away like trash. I trusted no one. Freaking love that. Yeah, so I love
doing my rewatch. Like, that's the thing that like stuck out to me, that there's like one season of Johnny's Cobra Kai really, and then he's disenfranchised during season 3, and then it goes off. Season 3 is gone, and so you have a show that's Cobra Kai's front and center, but then it becomes essentially the villain for 5 seasons straight. in a sense.
Yeah.
And so then you having that looping back at the end, it's like, those are the bookends. There we go. That's like Johnny. There's a journey Johnny need to go on to grow to be the person that could lead this the proper way and balance it out. And so you end on that note that was like, yes, there it is.
Yeah. I'm wondering too, what are your thoughts on like, because part of me wishes we had seen him with Cobra Kai a little longer, because we only had 2 episodes of that. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I know he had to go through this journey, but like, was there some sort of way where we could have seen him actually be with the Cobra Kai dojo longer, just because there's so much history with it, and like, he's like, Cobra Kai's gonna die, like, screw this dojo. I don't know, dive deep more with that.
I don't know, it's interesting. Like I said, that rewatch, you realize just how little he's actually over Cobra Kai in the show. You don't because he's with the characters. He was with Miguel, but that's when Miguel's left, and stuff like that. It's interesting. I don't know that I would. My feelings all along the way, ever since the end of season 3, my buddy Cody Leach, our feeling was, oh man, they announced 3 more seasons. I don't know, because it feels like I can see the end in sight, and then it took the whole second half. We weren't even halfway through the journey when it felt like the end was in sight. And I think if you play it through, that's my thoughts on it. If the show wasn't 6 seasons and season 6 was Jumbo season, but it was 5 seasons, all of a sudden the balance of Johnny being with Cobra Kai is a little bit more even. That would be like, I don't know if I'd necessarily say that I want to like add another season of him leading Cobra Kai so much as cut some of the stuff where he's not with Cobra Kai. That's probably the way that but it's just a general feeling on it. I feel like they had 4 or 5 seasons of Cobra Kai plot here, and they did 6 seasons. That's my feeling on the show, is that they padded it out. They had to repeat a few plot lines, and I think going global was. I feel like with this show, at the beginning of it, the Karate Kid fans that are coming in and the new fans were parallel to each other, and as it went along, they split. And the Cobra Kai audience likes the more extravagant stuff, and like, oh man, who's Hawk gonna beat the crap out of this season? Who's more powerful, Miguel or Hawk? Like, I'm not having that conversation with any Karate Kid fan. They're not like, dude, but like that whole energy is the Cobra Kai side of things. And so when you start being like, they're so badass, they're going to the global, that's the fully the Cobra Kai vein of things, and that's where like so many of the people my age kind of lost interest in the show, where it started to kind of veer a little bit. And that's where, in my mind, if you could tighten that, like, and it's interesting because then like there's a group of people that think I'm crazy every time I say, oh, what are you talking about? Season 6 was the best season. They went global. I was like, okay, I don't know, like, lost me a little bit. I think one totally wanted me back at the end, but it lost me in parts 1 and 2 because they're putting a robot suit on to like track things. It's like, what do we do? Like, what is this?
I get what you're saying. Like, I really like, I hear everything you're saying, and I can't say I disagree with everything. I think what would have like enhanced it, and this has nothing to do with like the writing of it, but it's like, because you are establishing this global tournament, give us like, for me, it's like, go all out, and like, the budget of the show, they don't get that big of a budget. So like, they film in this tiny arena that feels like, right. This is the global tournament. And then like, to film like to film the Sekai Taikai, the All Valley, where there's not that many people there. It's like, I feel like it that kind of took me out a bit. Like, I feel like if you were going to go, like, I like that they were upping the stakes. I feel like, because I remember originally, tell me your thoughts on this. Originally, the location manager, like, or location scouter of Cobra Kai came onto one of my streams, and he said, like, we're looking into locations for the Sekai Taikai, and I think he was like comparing it to like Gladiator, of like this outdoor arena, like something big, like, and like I'm picturing like a Coliseum or like an arena, like with like like a Madison Square Garden or something, like. But the reason they didn't do that is because of the budget. And it's like kind of like, when they're having like fights on the side of the mat, it's like kind of like, and it's like, I understand that, okay, sure, these kids might not be able to compete in a global karate tournament, after 2 years. But I feel like if you're going to do that, just go all out and like give us like, but yeah, unfortunately budget. And I don't know why they put it as a half-hour comedy show. It's kind of unfortunate, but yeah, it's still good. I still enjoy it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You can always think through the ways that you'd want it better. But we both had a great time with the ride. You're trying to please both. That they were able to find a show that I connected with, you connected with, and my 11-year-old connected with. That means so much. That is such a big deal. And trying to sustain that an entire run, at some point in times we're going to have disagreements on where you should go if you're trying to make middle-aged man, 11-year-old, high schoolers, college-age kids. That's a lot of audiences to try and sustain that connection the whole time. But final discussion on here. We got to close out. People ask me all the time, like, how can I do what you do? What's your advice? What are your tips? So whenever I talk to people, I always like to throw that question over to them. If you were starting over again, 2025, with everything you've learned, everything you know, what would you do to launch in 2025?
That's a great question. I would say for me, choosing something that I'm passionate about, that I like maybe can bring a different take to. If I was trying to like launch a successful YouTube channel, or I would say like, everybody has their own unique perspective. Like, you have all these content creators out there, and like a lot of creators cover the same thing, but there's reasons why like some maybe get more viewers or a different audience than others. Because people tune in for what you have to say and for your perspective and your take. So I would say, be original, be yourself, be like authentic. I started my channel, like one of the videos that blew up was me recreating the first episode of Cobra Kai where I dressed up as Samantha Russo wearing a wig. It was like, it was like ridiculous and funny and embarrassing, but like, I was having fun, and I was being authentic, and I was like, being creative. And so that I feel like just, being yourself, doing that, covering what you love. And I would say no matter what, if you're having fun with it, because I mean, you know this too. It's like, you can't expect, even if you do make great content, it's not like, boom, you make the great content and then you're going to get all the views and all the subscribers. It's like, it doesn't really always work like that. Sometimes you can make the best things and they don't blow up, but you just got to keep doing something that you genuinely enjoy having fun with. So even if it doesn't get all the numbers, you're still proud of yourself. You're still having a good time. And I always think like, even like, you think like 5 views may not sound like much, but think about like 5 people in front of you, like watching your video, like that's pretty freaking cool. So just as long as you're having fun with it, and you never know where it'll take you, kind of like what happened with us. You never know. So just follow your dreams.
Yeah. I think you take all of that and little things like you say, well, I dressed up as Samantha. There's a flip side to that of like, you're being vulnerable. Like,
dude, it's scary.
Putting yourself out there to be mocked, made fun of, just to do something silly about something you're passionate about, and that's just, like, you have to be willing to do that. And other recurring themes we've talked about in here: just start, take risks, reach out to people. Like, maybe they say no, maybe overstep, maybe nothing comes of it, but like, just reach out. Like the amount of people that in the current era of social media that you can actually get in contact with. It's incredible. Yeah, that's the great thing about it. There's so many people. They're just sitting there on their phones. Like all the famous people, they're also just addicted to their social media, and like they might see your DM that you sent them. You never know, and so just give it a try.
Yeah. I mean, like, sure, like, if you message like Timothy Chalamet, he may not reply. But like, like you have the people in the crew or some of the background extras. I mean, that's how I started too with my interviews. Like interviewing some of the like the background actors and then working my way from there. So like with today's day and age, you could do it.
Yeah, like if you You reach out, you meet one person, they can connect you to another person, and when you've talked to two people, when you message the third person, you go, "I've already talked to," and they go, "Oh, okay," like, and you have a resume, and you can fill that out. And so, but like, yeah, if you start like, "I'm gonna reach out to Ralph Macchio," like if you start at the top, you're like, it's tough.
Yeah.
But if you start somewhere, and all of a sudden you've talked to several people, it's much easier to get a yes because you can look at your track record, know you're not a wacko or whatever. Like you've done this before. But yeah, start, be yourself, be passionate. And that hustle side is what a lot of people miss. Like hustle, people, the grind.
It's a lot, yeah.
But you can make things happen. And like I said, you're 22 years old and you are working on a documentary. That's wild. If someone wanted to support the documentary, where can they go to support you, or what can we do to help?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. If you want to support, you can go to Indiegogo and just type in Kai Hards. There's links on my page, or you can type it in yourself. And the cool thing is, if you help support, you get some cool perks as well. You get your name in the credits of the film. You can get invited to the premiere screening in Los Angeles, which Sean, I hope you could come to. Which when it comes out, you're invited. I would love for you to come out when it happens, and you get a producer credit. So there's different perks for depending on how much you donate, but any amount is so appreciated. And even if you can't donate, just spreading the word helps because we need the support to make this happen, because there's a lot that goes into it. But this is a project made by fans for the fans. So that's what our goal is. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And where can we find you on the internet? Also just you personally?
Yeah. You can check me out, Cobra Kai Kid, on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all those things. And also I make some music too. If you want to check it out, Drew Raskin on Apple Music or Spotify, shouting out the music. And I have some other things in the works too. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Sean. Always a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate you for having me on and letting me share about Kai Hards and chat about Cobra Kai Karate Kid. I love our different takes on. We come together for our certain takes, and then we have like different perspectives, and that's what it's all about, man. And as I said before, you're doing great. So keep up the good work. No mercy, brother.
Appreciate it. And next time we talk, the Karate Pizza Man will have come out. So
I'm excited to see how much pizza is actually in this movie. There wasn't much pizza in the trailer, but
that was my biggest complaint.
There was no pizza. What the hell? Like what?
This is ridiculous.
Pepperoni, like anything. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Ridiculous.
Outrageous. All right. Talk to you later.
See ya.